How we going, everyone? I was just telling one second, because my tomatoes are on the ground because they're so bloody heavy. It's sitting on the ground down there. Have a look at this. See that down there? So I said, just wait 1 second because I've got to pull this string up. Oh, God, this is heavy. This soft tie is not going to work. Well, it is, but I don't think it's... Oh, there we go. All right, so just let me lift this up. We'll get into the topic in a second, folks. It's about tomatoes. It's about blossom end rot. A lot of people have been emailing and complaining that they're getting blossom end rot. Now, some have used black grit, but not a lot. So the topic is understanding what blossom end rot is, and obviously some other diseases that occur with them. For those who've never experienced blossom end rot, you're lucky. What it is, if I could show you what tomato, they're all down here at the moment. It's basically, see this tomato here? This little beauty here? If you look to the bottom side of a tomato, if it had blossom end rot, it would have a black or brown black sunken round spot there. It's a fungal problem that starts to decompose the tomato. The easiest way I can explain it is like having high blood pressure for a human. You know, you get gout on your toes, the tips of your toes or your fingers, and that sort of acidity sort of building up, and there's nowhere for it to explode but at the most extremities of our body parts. And in this case here, it's our fingertips, our toes, and a Jack's mouth. Now, he's just asking for a ball. If you've got blossom end rot on your tomatoes, it's quite evident, and many of you who've experienced it in the past, you know very well it can cause a lot of damage, meaning it rots the tomato out if it's excessive. Sometimes the burn mark, the black sunken mark, it stops at a certain point. It doesn't actually protrude all the way through into the tomato, causing it to rot out. And in other cases, it can rot out the tomato completely. So you may get half a tomato that you can eat, or you lose the whole tomato completely. And that really depends on how much nitrogen is in your soil. What happens is we feed our garden beds. We feed them, whether it's organic or synthetic, and obviously the synthetic form not only causes excessive nitrogen, but it also kills off the microbiota in your soil. And when that happens, your soil becomes dead. So your plants become reliant on you using synthetic fertilizers all the time, because you can't rebuild the microbiota with synthetic fertilizers. It's just killing them. It's like putting acid into the soil, and that's what it does. It kills them, it scatters them, they go away. Your plants look for food. There's nothing there for them if you don't provide it for them. And if you go down that path, you're forever and a day feeding your plants. I here prepared the garden bed once, put my compost, put my black grit in, put in my manures, what I did, my mulch and all that, and that's it. Now, I did a little sample trial with superfood, but now it's time. And for me, it's halfway through the season. Even though I planted late, I'm going to be putting some more black grit in, and a lot of people have been asking me, how do you use the bloody stuff? You do this. Handful, and then sprinkle it around lightly, like that, and give it a good watering in. Now, what does this do? It reduces the acidity in your soil. When you've got too much acid in your soil, it locks up all the other nutrients and making them unavailable to your plant. And when that happens, your plant starts to show signs of deterioration, signs of weakness. You get burning on the tips of the leaves, wilting from the tips of the branches. Your fruit starts to rot out, black blossom end rot. You get burn back, you get premature flower drop. All these are symptoms of excessive nitrogen in the soil. You can have a lack of nitrogen as well, so it's completely opposite. That's why we say do a pH test of your soil, which is the most simplest thing you can do to establish whether your soil needs to be fertilized or you reduce that. Now, if you have got too much nitrogen in your soil and it locks up all the other vital nutrients, we're talking all the other elements that you require for your plants to grow beautiful flowers at 5-6 foot high, set fruit at 6 foot like this. Have a look at that. No signs of damage, and more flowers coming up at 7 foot, and so on. You want that activity and life in your soil. Black grit will give you that. What it does, it reduces the acidity and unlocks all the other vital nutrients that we're talking about here to be able to create this, not only on tomatoes, but on all sorts of plants. Multiply the flowers twofold, tenfold, I should say. Get bigger fruit and no burning and rotting out at all happening. And it also releases the calcium phosphate. So the phosphate of it makes the roots bigger and stronger and healthier, natural forming, and the calcium magnesium strengthens the cell wall of the plant. And what that means is the actual thickness and density of the outer lining or layers of skin that exists on these plants is thickened and toughened, so it's harder for the insect to penetrate through there to cause damage, or harder for the disease to enter and break through the cell wall, the outer cell wall, to cause the disease to spread. These have not been sprayed once. I don't spray my garden. I talk about sprays when you've got a problem. I'll give you some remedies on how to fix it when you have the problem, but I don't spray. And if I have a slight problem, I prune. That's it. And all I do is make sure I keep up the nutrients. You can see a little bit of discoloration. Now, these plants are 5-6 foot tall, and there's about 5 or 6 leaders coming off that plant. You can't expect to have green leaves all the way to the bottom. A little bit of burning like that and septoria leaf spot is a surface problem that can occur. Just pull those leaves off. That needs some black grit now. We've put some superfood 2 days ago, and as I spoke about that, and now we're going to top dress it and improve the calcium uptake, the magnesium, the phosphate, and reduce the acidity, because we're going to get tomatoes. Look at this. Clusters everywhere. You may be saying it's very late in the season. Well, not for me down here. We've got plenty of season ahead of us here, folks. And if I have to, I may have to drape another bit of material over the top, like shade cloth or maybe a bit of plastic, just in case we get right into the heart of autumn and it gets really cold and we need the temperature there. So the soil's warm. The ambient temperature around us at the moment is ideal. We've got a bit of humidity going on. There's no mildew developing. We're thinning out the foliage, airflow, and the acidity levels have been reduced with our black grit. So if you haven't tried it and you still need more information, you can email me at askvasily@vasilisgarden.com. I'll try and answer all your questions. I am behind with my email, so be patient with me, but we'll get around to them. And if you need more information on black grit, well, it's available on our website as well. Vasilisgarden.com, they are running on a special. Take advantage of it. Don't lose the opportunity of getting some black grit into your garden to look after your plants on the large spectrum of plant varieties. From me, Vasily, Maresi.